Tap to what? All right, guys, you're here live with Josh Thompson for Punk's Opinion. I'm going to give you guys actually, you guys are going to give me a bunch of questions, and I'm going to answer them for you guys. So, I don't know if you guys watched my show on Monday. We did a Punk's Opinion there, and it was kind of like, almost felt like low-energy Jeb Bush, and it was really bad. Like, I went back, I actually kind of want to apologize. I was exhausted from all the traveling from Chicago to, to the UK the week before, and then San Jose show, like three shows in a row, man, and I was exhausted. So it kind of came out on the podcast. I want to apologize to you guys. Hey, we are here now, and obviously you can see I'm my vibrant self as usual, okay? And I try to kind of clean up for you guys a little bit, try to be as dashingly handsome as I can for you, even though I'm sure it's all dudes posting in this thing right here asking questions. But we're about to answer some questions for you guys, so let's do this. All right, what you got there, Producer Dave?
All right, first question.
Are you your podcast Dave now though? I call you Producer Dave.
I'm Producer Dave on my profile, but Podcast Dave is my handle.
Is your my handle?
My handle.
It's my handle. So that's your Twitter handle too?
No, I don't have Twitter. I don't have a personal. Well, I do have a personal Twitter, but I don't use it.
Man, what? How can you ever pro anything if you don't have a Twitter?
What do you mean?
All right, go ahead.
All right.
You're making me depressed right now. I'm gonna eat my jerky. See, I got this new fitness jerky. Stuff's pretty good. Man.
I eat it as well.
Protein candy.
I subscribe to them.
It's pretty damn good, man.
Good.
It's pretty damn good.
Anyways. So the first question comes from my fave book, Bronte Jane Eyre. Long name. You know, Tony Ferguson changed managers recently, and him and Conor used to have the same manager. Did you think that was a conflict of interest, that the manager favoured Conor over Tony, and should Tony have changed managers sooner? What's up, Lapu 54?
Let me I think it is a little bit of a conflict of interest, but it really just depends on how. Like, I guess it depends on how the manager is using it. So look, if you're a manager, you're not supposed to kind of leverage one fighter for another. But I think if I was a fighter, right, I think that'd be a great idea to do that, to actually make sure your manager's getting you the best that he can. Now, in no way do I think that's right, but I'm saying that I have been on the receiving end a couple times of. I had a friend that was a manager who had a fighter, and he kind of helped get me a fight that was a huge fight for me. And we, and this was out of the country, and he helped leverage one of the guys that he managed that was really big. And I'm not going to name any names, but that's what helped get me my foot in the door to a big show. So to another big show that I was a part of as well. So. But I mean, I think overall though, just to my personal opinion, my Punk's opinion, is that as a manager, yes, I think it's a conflict of interest because you don't know how they're pitching Conor and how they're pitching Tony Ferguson. But the one thing I will say though is that they're in completely different ends of the world, man. And I'm not saying like just geographically. I'm saying simply the fact that Conor can call the shots, and realistically, he doesn't need a manager for the fight game anymore. And I don't understand why he even still has one. Just my personal opinion. Maybe he doesn't want to deal with it, but I think he can go directly to Dana and be like, look, I don't need to pay 10% or 3% or whatever it is I'm paying to my manager, and say like, hey, I don't need you anymore. I can just talk directly to Dana and say, this is what I want. And this is, maybe he doesn't go through his contracts. Maybe he doesn't know what all the actual things are that are listed on there, what he asked for and things like that. Maybe his manager kind of tells him that, but guys don't normally feel comfortable doing that. And they also don't know what the market is. Your manager's job is to keep up with the market. And I think they're always going to try to give Conor the greatest deal. Tony Ferguson, not in the same situation. I've said this, I don't know how many times. I'm a huge Tony Ferguson fan. Everyone knows that I fought him. Everyone knows it didn't go my way. It was one of the worst fights I probably ever. Not as in terms of like I didn't perform well. I just lost the fight. And legitimately, I felt like that was one of the fights that I had ever had that I truly thought that I lost. Losing to Benson, I thought I won. Losing to other guys, I thought I won. Like guys will tell you that. But that fight, I legitimately just straight up just lost. Just got outworked, got out hustled. Just got everything went his way. And But my thing with him is that all those things being said, I'm a huge Tony Ferguson fan. That being said, he, to me, doesn't move the needle. Now, we don't know how much of that doesn't move the needle means that because pay-per-views now are shit. So every time he fought on a pay-per-view or anytime he had a fight that was, on Fox or whatever it was, the needle never moved. But then we were also in a really weird era right now of TV. People are streaming it from their phone. People are streaming it from whatever apps, and it's having an effect on the numbers. So to think that people are not needle movers, it's hard for me to say who is and who isn't these days because it's so strange what's going on with the TV world. Do I think that it conflicts the manager? It depends on how the manager's handling it. And if he's smart, I think it's probably best that Tony did leave. But if the manager was smart, they're on different ends. And so there's no reason for him to treat Tony any different than he treats Conor. Just the problem is the deals will be different. And it doesn't really matter if the two fighters fight. It doesn't matter. It just matters that one of your guys is going to lose and one of your guys is going to win. And it sucks for the manager to be stuck in the middle. But the honest to God truth, like, his job is to get the best money for both of them. And if he can do that, then it benefits him both ways. Now, do I think that's kind of like a little bit of double dipping if your two of your guys are going to end up fighting? I think it is. And I think as fighters, you should say like, hey, if I have to fight somebody else that you're managing, you're going to cut your commission. Because there's no reason why you should be getting paid on both sides for us to fight. Like you might as well cut it in half, so you're basically just getting one commission for both. That's all you would get anyways if I was fighting someone else. So I think from the fighters, those are things that fighters, I think guys like Conor and guys like Tony that have the kind of leverage that they have being at the top of the chain right now and being who they are. I feel like that's something that they could have probably come to an agreement on. Or, one of them could have left. And Tony left. And I think it had something I think there was probably more to do with it than just that he repped Conor. There was other issues and other things going on. Maybe he didn't like the way that he was dealing with Dana. Maybe he thought, somebody else could do a better job. I don't know who he eventually ended up going with as far as his manager. But, that's a personal preference on how you want things to be handled as well. So, but I couldn't tell you why he left. I mean, maybe there were some other underlying issues that got out as well. Who knows?
Next question.
Mm-hmm.
From Gabriel Soriano. How was it fighting Nate Diaz? Very broad question, but there you go.
Okay. I think what you're asking me is you want the details of like what the feel of the fight was. I mean, obviously, I think everyone's happy. It doesn't matter if it was Nate or if it was Joe Blow down the street. Getting a win and getting the win the way that I got the win, that feels great. That's pretty much a straight up answer. That would have been an answer for anybody that you get a win like that over. And it doesn't matter if it was Nate or somebody else. It feels good to get that type of win. But the feel of it, as far as I expected him to be a little bit faster. I expected him to be a little bit busier. But then we also understood that the way I decided to fight him was the way that Carlos Condit and GSP fought Nate and how Carlos Condit and fought Nick Diaz. So how those guys fought Nick is kind of, and how Benson fought a little bit, how Benson fought Nate. That's how I kind of laid out the groundwork on how I decided to fight him. Now, the one thing that I decided with Nate was that, and Nick, they both do the same thing. If you stick and move and circle out and cut the corners, and you run to the other side of the cage and you wait for them to come there, sometimes they'll just stop and walk to you. But what they don't realize is in that process of them just turning around and walking to you, there's probably like 30 seconds or 20 seconds coming off the clock every time. So if you're sticking and moving, I mean, honestly, you land like, say, 7 or 8 combinations, that's a round. Now don't get me wrong. There's a lot of opportunity for you to get caught in those scenarios and those situations. But I expected him to be a little bit faster. He was as long as I thought he would be, like as far as, his reach and his range. But I also expected him to be a little bit busier. But I wasn't sure if it was because maybe I was a little bit faster than he thought I was. Every time I went to do something, he kind of flinched a little bit. Every time he overcommitted, I was able to counter and throw real quick or beat him to the punch because I think he wasn't as fast as I thought he was going to be. I had watched him fight Donald Cerrone years ago. And I was like, man, he just keeps touching Cerrone. And I felt like had he fought me a little bit like that, where he just was walking Cerrone down and throwing combinations, punches, and bunches, it would have been a lot tougher of a fight for me. I also thought, because I had grappled him a long time ago, and I knew he wasn't very like physically strong, but he was also a lot younger when I had grappled him a long time ago. And I had just seen him get guys in positions and triangles and guillotines in fighting. And I was thinking to myself, like, man, like he's got to be strong in these areas, but he's not. He's not at all. So anytime we got in the clinch, anytime we got into that, where we got into close range fighting, I didn't feel, I felt like I could move him around wherever I wanted. I felt like the clinch work was working for me. Like there was no desire for me to like take him down at all. So all I had to do is punch clean, circle out, go to the other side of the cage, wait for him to overcommit, land my shots, maybe clinch with him, press him to the fence. And if you guys recall, during that fight, what cut him up so bad was I was pressing on his face while we were standing against the fence and clinching with him, pressed on the face and just slid my hand off and elbowed. I did that a lot to the point where I had cut him a couple times. So all that being said, like that fight right there, it felt like one, and I'm not trying to knock him at all. I just felt, because of the strength and because of the speed that I had, I think, over him, I felt like very confident as the fight was going on. And it was just growing with more confidence. And he wasn't fighting me at such a fast pace. Like most guys, he pressures a lot. You know, like when he was fighting Conor, he just kept walking him down and walking him down and walking him down. And Conor, instead of being smart and circling and waiting until he got his breath back, you know, he would just jump right in and engage. Like, I'm going to knock him out. I'm going to knock him out. If you get into that slugfest with those guys, it's very rare that's never going to happen. I mean, like, I didn't think that at all. So I just waited and waited and waited for my moments to land big shots and then get in and get out and circle out. If you guys recall, every time I got close to him, I actually cut the corner, dipped out, and came out the side. And most of the time, I ended up behind him, you know, and almost like how Ronda Rousey threw a hook over Holly Holm and she dipped out the side and came out behind her. And, you know, I felt like every time we were in exchanges, that's kind of what I was doing, you know, and if I wasn't there, then I was in the clinch, pressing him to the fence and just trying to land elbows and do some knee work, you know, to kind of take away his conditioning a little bit. The one thing I've always felt was really comfortable in the clinch and the knee area. If you go back to my Strikeforce fights, that's something I used to use a lot, was my knees. And so I felt really good there with him against the fence, you know, and that was it, man. Overall, that's how I felt about the fight. I mean, as far as the finish and everything, I mean, it doesn't matter who you fight. You're always excited to get a finish like that.
From Gautama Nathan, do you think it's possible for MMA as a sport to hold a yearly event/competition where fighters from all organizations get to compete against each other? Kind of like how amateur wrestlers have the world championships and how NBA players get to represent their respective countries in the Olympics regardless of what team they are signed to?
Yeah, so I've said this for years. I've said what we should do is we should do basically like how Pride used to do their year-end show, and you basically have all the organizations come together and you put up your champions or you put up your top talent against other top talents from other organizations, and you let them fight just once a year on New Year's Eve or the day before New Year's Eve, whatever it is. And I think that's a pay-per-view or you put that on an app, whatever it is. But I think that would do huge, huge numbers. Every year, I think that would do huge numbers because every year that gives you an opportunity to build stars. And every year that gives the fans something to really look forward to. Almost like how they had International Fight Week or whatever for the UFC for a while. Honestly, the people lived for that. It was so crazy. I mean, all the sponsors that were there, everyone was there. Now it's just Reebok, and everyone's like, I don't even want to go anymore. People don't even go. Like, I don't even know if they do it anymore because it's dead. No one wants to go to that just to go look at Reebok clothes. You know, it's good to go for the 3 nights of fights, but when they had International Fight Week, it was like all the fighters would come out for it. They all were like their sponsors would bring them out to be part of that. So it actually kind of worked out. Like you got a lot more up and coming, but he had a lot more stars being brought out there by the sponsors instead of the organization having to bring them out. So that gives you guys an opportunity. It gives the fighters an opportunity to become stars by their sponsors. So like I remember like Headblade and Throwdown and all these other cage, what's it called? The The one that DC sponsored by not Cage Hero. It was something else. Anyways, but like all these Cage Fighter. Sorry, it was on the tip of my tongue the whole time. Anyways, these companies would fly these guys out, and the UFC didn't have to fly them out. So I mean, in the long run, the UFC is not flying guys out, and so they're not building any new stars. And if your fighters are not seen, your athletes are not seen, then you're not building new stars. People don't care about them. Like, and it's not that they don't care about them; they just never get an opportunity to meet them. And the one thing that the MMA has over NHL, NBA, and NFL and Major League Baseball is that we're accessible. Fighters are more accessible than any other professional sport. I mean, even boxers, you'll run into them sometimes at, the clubs and things like that. You'll be able to see them out and about and still kind of engage with them, like Amir Khan, Canelo, Manny Pacquiao, Triple G. I mean, maybe not so much Triple G, but you'll still kind of run into those guys periodically sometimes at locations. With NFL players, football players, or basketball players, good luck, man. Good luck ever it's rare that you ever get a chance or opportunity to run into them. And especially when you have an event like International Fight Week, or if you have a show like on New Year's Eve where all the organizations kind of come together and fight, I think that'd be huge. I think it's something like a year-end show that all the fans would get behind. And can you imagine, man, if you did that, if you did something like that in different parts of the world, like you did at Saitama Arena in Japan, or if you did it in the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, or you did it, in different areas, in the United Center, I think it is, in Chicago. If you did it in Madison Square Garden, of course, if you did it in different areas of the world also too, in London, and you do it at Wembley Stadium, like, can you imagine AT&T? I think a fight like that, something like that, could be possibly done in like AT&T like in the football field and stadium in Dallas, where the Dallas Cowboys play. Something like that would really pack out the seats. Just my personal opinion, but I don't think it's ever going to happen. The UFC want to make sure that their guys never have to contend with other guys, because if they feel like they do that, then it lets everyone know that they feel like those other fighters are now on the level of the UFC guys. So that's a smart move by the UFC, by the way. They're letting the world understand that those other shows, they can go ahead and do that, but us, we're not going to do that. So if Bellator and One and Ryzen and they all want to get together and have a year-end show and have their fighters all mix it up with each other, I think it would be great, because it's caused a lot of controversy and stir it up, like how good these guys really are. And then that would leave the UFC out, like, oh shit, somebody else is doing something that we're not doing. And they eventually, I think, would come in, because more people would start paying attention to those three other organizations. But I don't think that's going to happen, honestly, for a long time. I know Ryzen and Bellator have a good relationship. You have Darren Caldwell fighting Horiguchi coming up at Madison Square Garden on June 14th. Same night Chael Sonnen fights Lyoto Machida. So that's a shameless plug there. But that whole ordeal, like, they are doing it, champion versus champion. That's happening. They already fought one time over in a ring in Japan, and now they're coming back over here and fighting in a cage in Bellator in Madison Square Garden. So that, to me, that's the first steps. Those are the beginning steps of it. We'll see how it goes.
All right, from Davon Smith, sup Josh, love the show. 2 questions. Where are we at with the Sammy fight? Lol. As the first guy to finish Nate, do you grow tired of the people who say that Nate doesn't get finished? Part of the reason I picked Pettis to win the match is because of the mixed striking game he has and explosive kicks like you showed him to be effective against Nate.
Yeah, I think the thing is, though, with Nate, okay, as far as when's the match going on between Sammy and Dave, we're waiting on Sammy to figure out when he want to do a date. And we'll just set the date. I need at least, what did I say? 2 weeks? 2 weeks? I need at least 2 weeks with Dave. Dave just started a new job with a new company, so he's not able to get a whole lot of time off. That, and he's really, really fat right now. So he needs time. He needs time to kind of get the weight down before I start trying to work the training. Can't make me look bad, man. I have some teaching and coaching credentials I need to uphold. Okay, so anyways, that being said, the second question with Nate is that Pettis has a really good chance, as long as he uses that low-level calf kick and the leg kicks to keep the range and the distance, because Nate Diaz is really long. Now, the other thing as well, I feel like Nate fights a better fight when he doesn't like you. He's that kind of guy. So when there's words exchanged and there's a lot of things going on, I feel like he fights a better fight. him and I never had issues or problems or we never, nothing at all. So it was never an exchange of words that were ever bad. And I don't know if he underestimated me. I don't know if he had problems in camp. I don't know what his issue was. But and I don't think he did have an issue when we fought. But I'm simply saying, like, I think that Nate, I can't say that Nate now is better than Nate then, because he had just fought for the title against Benson when I fought him, and I was his next fight. So the thing is I feel like now when he's fighting someone like Pettis, I feel like he's seen enough of Pettis. He knows enough of Pettis. I think he thinks he knows how he can beat Pettis. But you have to remember this, though, as well. He hasn't fought in, 3 years?
Nate, yeah.
Yeah, it's almost 3 years, right?
2016.
Damn, man. But they said he's been training a lot. You know, Gil's getting into camp also, so Gil's getting ready, so the two of them can train together. I don't know, man. I'm excited to see the fight. I'm not gonna pick a winner. I do know that the advantage goes a lot largely to Nate. Nate just finds ways to get wins. You know, and sure, he's lost some. But let's be real, man. He finds ways to get wins. If he comes walking Pettis down forward and is able to touch him, I think it's going to be good. I mean, but I'm not going to lean either way right now. But I will tell you this, that Duke Rufus posted something today on IG and was talking about how my coach, the one that helped train me for the Nate Diaz fight, Derek Ewan, used to train and coach, with and helped Duke Rufus get ready for his world title fights, and was also like a student of Duke, but also kind of helped coach him as well for his fights. And they have a very similar type coaching style and pedigree of each other. And I can already tell you that they've already talked about how Josh Thompson beat Nate Diaz. They've already talked. He wouldn't have posted something like that without them saying that they hadn't talked. I'm sure he's already talked to Derek, my coach, and just said, hey, like, what was the focus for that camp? Like, how did you guys look at it? And why did Josh fight the way he did? So I'm sure that they together are probably breaking it down.
Next question.
Yep.
From Duke Wilco's, how's it going, Josh? Hey, so how do you feel about Frankie getting the next title shot?
I think it's great. And here's the other thing. Is what's his name, Volkanovski? Like, he's got like an infection or something like that. I don't even know if he's left Brazil yet. The other thing too is that there's no reason to wait around. Frankie, it's kind of like a long time coming. Frankie's right there, man, and he's not getting any younger. I also, my personal opinion, the UFC owes it to him. Just my personal opinion. He's always been a company man, is the way I should say it. He's always been a company man. He's always done a great job, and he's always done pretty much what they've asked him to do. I think he would have had a way better career at 155. Had he stayed at 155, he probably would have fought and won the title again sometime down the road. I think stylistically he matches up very well with all the 55-pounders because he was so fast at the time when he decided to go to 45. When he went to 45, it was the speed of the other guys that really kind of kept him from excelling at that weight. And I'm sure he's fought for the title, but every time he fought and he lost to Jose Aldo. Now that he's fighting against Max, we're going to see, if Frankie still has the ability to get those takedowns against somebody like Max Holloway. And as far as me, I'm really excited for him. I'm happy for him. I'm excited for him. He's one of my best friends in the whole sport, and I only have a handful of them. I mean, I got a lot of friends in the sport, but he's like one of my best friends. And he's one of the greatest guys I think ever to walk the face of the earth, man. Great guy, and I'm super happy for him.
From Lee the Flea, he asks, Yo, Josh, do you think...
Lee the Flea, I like that.
Lee the Flea. Yo, Josh, do you think if John Fitch decides to continue in his career, he should get a title shot at the winner of the tournament, the Bellator title? He didn't lose, technically, fought to a draw.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, here's the other thing, though, too, is that even if we give him a shot and he wins, he's 42 years old. What are you going to do with him? And I'm only being a realist. And he's my boy. He's my friend. And, all the things that he's ever done in his career and all the things that, he's still my friend. But the bottom line is like, what do you, like, as a promotion, what do you do with that? Like, he's 42, he wins the title, he retires, now I have a vacant title. It's like, nobody wants that, man. And so I think it'd be great to see him. If Rory wins, I'd like to see them run it back. But if Lima wins, I'd like to see John retire. I think Lima is the guy that John I don't think he should fight. Like, honestly, I feel like Korshkov and Lima, they just don't get enough credit, man. Those two guys are nasty, wicked, good, and just the two of them are like the nemesis, like Gil and I were in Strikeforce. And every time they fight each other, they make each other better. And they just have great fights, man, with each other. And I love watching them. Now I'm excited to have Rory in the mix, but who knows how long it's going to last. God works in mysterious ways on how, they don't want you to fight. They do want you to fight. Who knows, man? I mean, it's weird. It's different to me. But who knows? I think that the guys that he needs to stay away from, John Fitch, would be Michael Venom Page. Too fast, too long, too quick. All the things that John is not. Okay? But John does have good wrestling. Potentially could take him down. But you have to get in first, man. And so many guys had tried before Paul Daly to get in. And Paul Daly, even though he's not a good wrestler, but Paul Daly's faster than John Fitch, and be able to get the takedown. That fight, I don't see it working out for John. Just my personal opinion. The fight with, I think if Roy wins the tournament, I'd like to see those two guys run it back. Lima, to me, is not a good fight for John also. With the power and the leg kicks, doesn't stylistically, I don't think, works for him. Korshkov, same thing. So those three guys, I feel like those three guys, if he was to fight those three, it'd be a really, really tough fight for him. And not that Roy McDonald wasn't, but John Fitch had a really good game plan for Rory, and it worked. It was doing well. So if Roy wins the tournament, I'd like to see them run it back.
From JJ. Hey Josh, who do you have winning these 3 weight classes between UFC and Bellator champions? Holloway v Pitbull, Whitaker versus Musashi, and Jones v Bader. My name's Carl Perrett, big fan from England. Shout out, would be cool as fuck. P.S. I went and bought EA1 just to use you to beat
nice,
my brother's ass.
Man. Nice. So crazy. EA1.
Yeah, UFC 1.
That's dope.
You want me to run through the 3 fights?
Yeah, what was the 3 fights again?
Holloway and Pitbull. I'm assuming he means 45 Pitbull.
Yeah. Well, they could probably do it at 55. But yeah, 45 would probably be the weight.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so that fight, who would win?
Yeah.
They're so stylistically different, and they're both going to stand and trade. I think, I don't know, man. You just saw Patricio knock out, what's his name? I don't think, like, Max Holloway I haven't seen the one punch crunch kind of thing from Max, but we've seen it from Patricio. But the length and the range of Max Holloway I think would give Patricio some problems. I really couldn't tell you who would win. I got respect for both of them. I think both of them are very talented guys. But here's the thing is I'm going to lean a little bit. It depends. Are they fighting right now? Or are they fighting 2 months ago? That's the thing. Right now, Max, I don't feel like his confidence is at an all-time high after the loss. And fighting is a very confidence-based sport. Not all sports are, but fighting is extremely about confidence. If you are not a confident fighter, you cannot buy a win. Okay? And it shows. When guys lose 1 fight, if they don't get the next win, and they lose 2, they almost always lose 3. It's like hard to come back from 2 losses in a row. And I speak from experience, man. I never dropped more than 2 in a row. I dropped 1, never lost 2 in a row, and then all of a sudden I lost 2 in a row. I was like, shit, lost 3. It's one of those things, confidence, and you start questioning all the things you do in training. You start questioning your coaches. You start questioning your diet. You start questioning everything. And so when that comes down to it, man, it's hard, dude. It's so hard. So for me right now, Patricio is on cloud 9. I mean, he's got his sights already set on Darian Caldwell. If Darren Caldwell beats Horiguchi, he wants to be the first 3-division champion. So he'll drop down to 135 and fight Darren Caldwell, the Wolf, at 135 for his title. And can you freaking imagine 3-division champion? That's insane. Like, that's nuts to me to think that he could do that. Nuts. What was the next fight?
Whitaker and Musashi.
Oh, Musashi, hands down. Hands down. I don't even, he's the most, him, Douglas Lima, him and Douglas Lima are probably the two most underrated athletes in MMA. By far, hands down. And I'm not saying Whitaker's not good. I think he's good too. But Mousasi he's good all the way around. He's really good. He's a good striker. He's beating heavyweights. Whitaker's not going to show him anything that he couldn't do. Gegard Mousasi's underappreciated. Every time someone brings up his name, it frustrates me because he's so humble. He's so quiet. He just kind of does his thing. And from what I understand after listening to Joe Rogan and Brendan Schaub, he's got like the big dick-itis. He got a big old dick. Apparently is what they were talking about. They were talking about like, yeah, man, I guess somebody saw him in the sauna cutting weight, and they're like, good God, big old dick. That explains the confidence. Like Brendan Schaub was saying, that explains why he's got that big dick confidence. He does have it. It's very true. Shout out to Schaub though, bro. Hey, and by the way, his Showtime special's coming out, I think, this Friday night.
Oh, is it this Friday?
Yes, I believe it's this Friday. It's tomorrow night, I think. But you try and look it up, and we'll make sure we plug him right. So text him with him a little bit today, and man, good stuff, man. I'm excited for him. I'm happy for him, man. I saw a couple little clips of it, and it looks pretty fucking funny. So he's a funny dude, man.
Entertaining.
Yeah, he's entertaining. I've seen him live a couple times, and obviously hung out with him and done he did his Big Brown Breakdown as well as his Below the Belt. It's tomorrow night? Tomorrow night. What time is it? It's 10 o'clock Eastern, I think, so 7 o'clock.
I just saw the thing that said 2 days left.
Yeah, I think it's 10. I think it's 10 p.m. Eastern though.
Okay.
Yeah.
2 days. Yeah, no. He doesn't have like the time on here. Oh, maybe it's on here. And then the third fight is Jones v. Bader.
You can't root it. And look, I work for Bellator. Just put all the bias aside, but no, you just can't root against John Jones. The clean John Jones or the dirty John Jones doesn't make a difference. It's hard not to root against him. I believe DC has it in him to beat him. Maybe not at 205, but I think he has the ability to beat him at heavyweight. And Jones even talked about it a little bit today about how he's like, why would I go up to 205? Why would I go up to heavyweight and fight him where DC has the power and the size over me? He's like, no, come back down to 205 and fight me here. So, that lets you know that John's been talking about it. Now, John also is somebody that is inspired and controlled by money. So, if you flash enough cash in front of him, he'll bounce out there. So, he's that kind of guy.
Yeah.
All right, next question.
Clayton Funk asks, why do you think that BJ Penn won't pull the trigger anymore? He isn't outclassed. He's just outworked.
Yeah, that has to do with age, guys. And there's nothing I can say about it. And here, let me give you an example. Is I was real hesitant when I fought my last four fights. I was real hesitant. I fought Tony Ferguson. I was like kind of waiting for him to go, and then I would try to counter. It just comes. I think it's just age, man. I believe it is age. Even when I fought Mike Bronzoulis with Bellator, my first fight there, I was paranoid of losing another one. Like I'd never dropped 3 in my life. I lost to Benson by a close split decision. I lost to Bobby Green by a close split decision. And both those fights, I thought I won the fight. And I was so frustrated and so upset with it. Then I fought Tony Ferguson and just legitimately just got beat. I got beat. But in all 3 of those, in those fights, even the Bobby Green fight, I just stopped pulling the trigger, man. I didn't pull the trigger. You go back and watch the fight. I landed my combinations and but he just threw more. Even if they didn't land, he threw more, and it looked better, I think, on his part. But I didn't think he won the fight. Like, I landed the cleaner shots and did more. But Tony Ferguson just outworked me, out-hustled me. But I was pretty hesitant in that fight as well. He would throw something, I would try to catch it. He threw a couple push kicks, and I caught his foot and tried to get the double leg. He threw some punches. He threw a kick. I tried to catch the kick and hit the double leg. Whatever it was. Like, those were the fights. And even when I fought Mike Bronzoulis, I fought him, I waited for him to throw and then try to do something to counter it. Same thing with Pablo Villaseca. Same thing with him. I waited for him to throw, and then I tried to counter and beat him to the punch. It's something in you, I think. You start wondering if you're fast enough to get in and get out. You're wondering, too, if your shots and your combinations are going to land with enough power because you are getting older now. Like, is it enough power to, like, make them flinch, make them wobble, anything that would make them react? It's not the same. You just don't have that same in you, and I don't know, man. It's really strange. It's really strange to me. It was just something that I knew it's like something that I knew in me that I just wasn't pulling the trigger anymore. And like the same thing with Patricky when I fought him. I was like jabbing from way far away and throwing low level calf kicks, but never was I ever trying to like get into the mix with him, which was stupid because I felt like that fight, all I had to do was like get to the clinch, and take away his power. If you get into that clinch area, and as well as dropping down on the double, getting back up to the clinch, knees, elbows, all those things. But I never was really in that mix of like where I was throwing like a lot of combinations. I was fighting real hesitant, letting him come to me, letting him control and dictate the pace of the fight. And everything I did was from my outside range, and I was trying to fight a smart fight. It wasn't working, man. It wasn't working. I think it was a reality that I had to tell myself like, hey, you're just not the same guy. You're not the same fighter. You're not the same guy. And you need to come to grips with that. And I was fine coming to grips with that. It's just one of those things you understand. And so I think with BJ just needs to figure out what he wants to do in life, and the hardest part, and I've said this, I don't know how many times on our show, the hardest part about being an athlete, if you've given yourself 20 something years, for me, I've given myself 22 years to this sport. I started actually 21 years, is I started fighting at such a young age. And even though I was wrestling in high school, a little bit in college and stuff, I was fighting and wrestling. I was still fighting on the weekends or fighting on the, training out, on the time off from wrestling, whatever it was. It just wasn't, it's so weird, man. It's just, it wasn't there. Like you've given so much. What do you do? What do you do now? And that's the hardest question for all these guys. They have no idea what they're going to do. Like they don't know. And so when they don't know, like, they might as well just keep fighting and making what I'm making, and the other thing, the next thing is, it's so hard to walk away from that much money. I mean, I'm giving you guys a rough estimation, but man, I walked away from, I had 3 fights left on my contract. I mean, I walked away from, probably close to $750,000 left on the table. That's a lot of money, man. That's a lot of damn money. So when you're walking away from that kind of money, it's hard just to like bounce and be like, hey, all right, guys, this is it. So I mean, sure, I can go back and the fight's always on the table whenever I want, but that's a lot of money to leave on the table for anyone, and so I think that's the next part. You lose, you don't go to the gym anymore, and you don't see the fellas as much. Like I haven't been to AK in probably 2-3 months. That's hard, man. That's hard. Those are guys that I train with every single day for, 18 years or 15 years, it's hard. So there's a lot of things that go through an athlete's mind when they got to leave that locker room or when they got to leave the gym or when they're not in that cage anymore. And there's so many things, and they don't know what else to do, And for me, luckily, I started a gym when I fought Benson. I was right in the middle of opening a gym when I fought Benson, which was probably stupid. But for me, it actually worked out perfectly because as soon as I got done fighting him and I lost, I was like, all right, well, good. Now I'll just focus on my gym. So all my money that I made after that went into my gym. There's a lot, man. There's a lot of things that fighters don't do that. And now in hindsight, I wish I would have started a different business because the gym's doing really well, but it's a lot of work. People don't think, all fighters think like, I'm just going to start a gym because of who I am. It's not all shits and giggles, boys and girls. It's not, man. It's a lot of work. The gym business is very hard. It's very up and down, and it's very hard. If you're not there, it won't make money. So for fighters, you guys need to understand that. Like, just open a gym and they will come. Yeah, they will come, but you have to be there to teach classes and to associate yourself with people, and you have to understand that. So just so you guys understand, like, don't just start a gym thinking it's going to run itself, because it ain't. So, and I'm here all the time, every time, and things like that. So just so you guys understand. All right.
Next question from Gideon Doyle. What do you think of the Cowboy Tony fight, and who do you think is going to get the win?
Cowboy Tony fight. Cowboy his grappling is extremely underrated. That's one. Two is Tony's been getting dropped a little bit sometimes in his last couple fights. Like, he's getting rocked or getting hit or clipped. He gets hit quite a bit. But I'm actually going to lean towards Tony. Tony right now is on a fucking mission to get to that title. All he's got to do is beat Cerrone. He's going to sit and do champ shit only. Okay? That's all he's going to fucking do. And if he was smart, he would have taken that interim title shot because, to me, Dustin Poirier or Max Holloway, both those guys were way easier fights than fucking Donald Cerrone. And I'm not trying to knock those guys. But Tony Ferguson's towers over Max, like in height-wise and shit like that. And then Dustin Poirier, like, even though he's a big guy himself, the overall, I think, the thing with Dustin is he's a guy that will get coaxed into, like, standing, banging, throwing, and brawling. And he will stand there and bang in front of you. And that's at his own demise. Like sometimes he will end up sometimes losing because of that. Now he's had a lot of success as of lately, fighting a little bit smarter. But that being said, Tony Ferguson, sure, he'll land and he'll stand in front of you and he'll do all these things and fight you and bang you. But he will also keep pushing the pace forward. He'll wrestle you. He'll try legs, jumping leg scissor takedown. He'll do whatever it is. He'll have fun with it. And I think as a fighter like Dustin, who's a very straightforward fighter and just wants to bang and throw it all out there, that type of stuff, I think will throw him off. Like, if Tony does something where he punches you and then does a forward roll to the other side and turns up and starts punching you again and kicking you, that shit starts throwing you off. And for someone like Dustin wants to stand there like, hey, I'm going to stand in front of you, you stand in front of me, and let's fucking fight. Max is very similar, but Max also moves really well. Max also sticks and moves. Max also puts, like, longer punch combo, uses his range. I think he's a little bit faster than Dustin Poirier. I mean, that whole thing, I think Max is a more interesting fight to me with Tony Ferguson. But I'm gonna say that Tony ends up beating Cowboy. I think with Cowboy not having a full camp, and sure, he just came out of a camp, but he's probably got a little bit banged up in some areas. And then on top of that, he's, was off traveling, free diving or scuba diving, and then was drinking beer and eating tacos or whatever. I don't know. And then, and he put it all down, jumped on a flight, and came home and started training. So I can't imagine him being that far out of shape, but that's not the point. The point is that his mind and his mental set is not the same as it would have been had he had a full 6 to 8 week long camp. Next question.
From Christina Miller. What are the chances?
Oh, not a guy. Yeah. Go ahead.
What are the chances Khabib unifies the belt with Dustin in September?
Pretty damn good. Yeah. I mean, barring like a crazy fluke injury, yeah, pretty damn good. I would say 80%, 85%, barring one of them doesn't get hurt.
Pretty straightforward. From Johnny Utah, sup Josh, I was wondering what your opinion is on Rose getting slammed the way she did. I heard Big John saying that people are upset only because Rose is a girl and that nobody was complaining when Askren was slammed by Robbie, yada yada. I think Big John is missing the fact when people look at Andrade, they see masculine features, traps to her ears, and the first thought that comes to mind is the girl obviously is using male hormones. I think more people are upset because they know Andrade is dirty. What do you say?
Yeah, it's so funny that he just said that. Johnny Utah. It's funny that you said that because I got about 7 or 8 texts that night like, hey, when's this girl going to get popped for fucking PEDs? I'm like, dude, apparently she's in the USADA program, so who knows? I mean, I couldn't tell you. I don't know. I mean, maybe they're testing for EPO, maybe they're not. Who knows? I mean, I'm not. It is kind of strange. She's pretty masculine. She is pretty, buff and big. But I'm not gonna say that she is because she hasn't tested positive. And until then, she's the champion. So, and I'm gonna give her full credit for credit is due. Now, as far as being the slamming Rose on her head, I read what Big John had to say, and Big John said exactly what I was actually thinking. Rose was going for the Kimura, and when you decide you want to go for the Kimura or whatever, then you get picked up and slammed on your head. You have an option to let go of that submission, and she could have let go of it and braced herself for the fall, but she didn't do that. She kept it, and so then she could have gotten out of that position at any time by letting go of that submission, and when she kept it, that put herself right on her head and knocked herself out. That's a fight game, you take those chances, and that's just how the fight game goes. Look, I love Rose. I'm actually probably one of her biggest fans. I love everything about her. I love the way she talks to people. I love how she is in front of the camera. I love how quiet and humble she is. I love the way she fights. I love that she got some dogs in them hands, man. And I hope we do get to see her again. But the fact is, the simple fact of the matter is this. We had Alimale McFarland on here. And this is what I think is going on. Is she won the title, and Alimale said the same thing after she won the title. She said, I'm at the pinnacle of my career, and now what do I do? It's almost like a hangover, you guys. You win the title, and it's just that, all right, now what's next? And I feel like she maybe has a little bit of that going on right now. She's lost, and she doesn't know what to do. She's like, my whole goal, my whole life was about getting to the title, getting the title. And then she gets the title, and she's like, all right. And then honestly, I mean, they kind of didn't give her any respect. They gave Joanna an automatic rematch. Now, had the fight went the distance when she fought Joanna, I would have said, okay, give her the automatic rematch. But she knocked her out. And she didn't just knock her out, but she like dropped her. She just dismantled her and owned her for that whole fight, that whole first fight. So the fact is, like, when they turned around and gave her an automatic rematch, it was almost like telling Rose, like, they don't want me to be champion. So then they fought her. She fought her again, closer fight, things like that. But Rose still won, and then she takes some time off. And I feel like she's trying to find herself right now. She's still young. She's still very talented. I mean, she was touching up Jessica Andrade and just torn. Like, it looked like she was toying with her. I was like, oh my God, this is embarrassing. Not embarrassing, but she was dominating the fight. So, who knows, man? I hope we see her again. But if we don't see her again, hey, I ain't mad at you, girl. Do your thing. Be happy doing whatever it is you do. And man, you did a lot. You're fucking amazing. So I got a lot of love for Rose.
From Dro, what do you think about the report saying there was no permanent damage done to Anderson Silva's leg? Could it have been PTSD from the Weidman fight?
No. As far as I think it's a sprain. There's no permanent damage, like he doesn't need surgery, but a sprain is like a slight tear. So something probably, honestly, at that age, he probably freaked the fuck out. Like I would have freaked out too and be like, oh shit, fuck. Like, there's a lot I'm sure going through his mind from when you get kicked in the leg like that. And he got kicked a couple times earlier in the fight as well, just like that. So all that being said, I don't think so. I just think, honestly, at that, and I'm going to go back to the age thing because I'm old too. Like you guys forget, I'm old as fuck too. So there are times, man, where like I roll with guys now in my own gym, or I go to AKA, like I said months ago, I would kind of play touch and kick, and touch puck in the park. I would kind of play kick with guys and, light spar. But every time like they would try and kick a little bit harder or do something a little hard, I was like, man, it doesn't feel the same anymore. It just doesn't feel the same. Like before you used to take him and just walk through him, when you were younger. But now it's not the same, man. Like he's 44. I'm 41. He's 44. So that lets you know, like I didn't start feeling like that kind of thing until probably like I was 30, right after I fought Nate, 37, 38, somewhere in there. Like right around the Benson fight, I started feeling like, damn, I don't want to get hit no more, man. This is horrible. And it's not so much that he doesn't want to get hit. It's like, I think things hurt more. Like he's got a lot of probably scar tissue and damage to his body from all the years of sparring, all the years of training, all those things. So that being said, I just think that he probably freaked the fuck out. And then on top of freaking the fuck out, it probably did hurt. It probably hurt him a lot. Like a stretch and a tear in a ligament or muscular damage or whatever it is that he has. He has a knee sprain. That's what they said. But a sprain is basically like a slight tear is normally what it is. Or it stretched the ligament so much that it's, it started fraying a little bit, something along those lines. So, no, I don't think we're going to see him again. Just my honest opinion. Apparently, he's trying to, like, ink a long-term deal with the UFC because he wants, like, 6 more fights or some shit. But the UFC don't want to keep paying him to fight, man. They don't care. They don't want him to. And I think they're probably about to do the same thing, too, with BJ Penn. They're going to tell him, too, like, dude, you guys are 41, 42. You guys got to let it go. And they don't want to cut him because they've been icons of the sport. I mean, they own, like, 3 or 4 gyms with BJ Penn in Hawaii. They don't want to cut him. But, like, you can't, like, he's still able to talk, still able to have conversations, all those things. Like, he just, people just don't know, they don't know what to do. So, as a promotion, they don't want to cut those guys. Let them make the decisions. That's good. Next question.
Whew, I'm going to be sick on that, looking at that picture.
Oh, yeah.
From Steve Rivera, who would you like to see MVP fight next?
You know, I kind of would like to see him and Daly run it back. I really would like. I would like to see them. I'd like to see a decisive winner in that fight, and I don't know, man. Maybe Paul again. Can you pull up like even who was on that roster, like in the 170-pound division, man? I mean, there's a lot of guys. Never mind. I take that back. The number one guy I would like to see him fight, Raymond fucking Daniels. Those two would be so fucking fun. If you watch him and Raymond Daniels fight, Raymond Daniels will take it to him. Both of them high flying, like highlight reel knockouts. I would love to see that fucking fight. They both fight, I think, at 170. It's 170, I believe, is Raymond as well. Just book it now. Book it now. Do it in London. Let's do it. That's a great fucking fight, those two. Who knows? It might just be like them spinning around in the air and no one ever landed a punch, but still, that I would like people charge admissions to go watch Karate Kids do that shit.
He's
you know?
85, it looks like.
Yeah, I think his last fight was at 170 though. Maybe it was 85. I don't think so. I think it was maybe it was 85.
Dude, he's only 1-1 as a pro.
Yeah, because he's kickboxing. He's like one of the best ever like kickboxers as far as like the above.
His first fight was on the Strikeforce card with you and Melendez.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say Raymond Daniels. That'd be a great fight.
So scratch everything before that.
Yeah, scratch everything. Forget I said that. Don't pay attention to me.
Yeah. Young, real quick, how long? A couple more?
Yeah. I got some time. How much time you got?
No, I'm
How many more we got?
I'm good. Well, because we're live, there's a lot coming in, but we can just go until you're done. Young 94 man says, do you think Jessica can hold on to the UFC belt for a long time?
No. I think Joanna's probably gonna get a shot here pretty soon, and she's gonna beat her again.
Think so?
Yep. And they're gonna bring Rose back in there and throw a bunch of cash in front of Rose and be like, "Yo, beat Joanna again," so we can have a story about this. I think that's what's gonna happen. This Tatiana Suarez girl though, she's tough. And then you always have Claudia, who's always right there in that mix as well. She's very good. So those two, I think. I don't know the other girl. Who's the other? Nina Ansaroff. I don't think I've seen her fight. Maybe I know her. Yeah, I don't think I've seen her fight.
No, she doesn't look.
Yeah.
She won against Gadea. She
beat Claudia, huh?
She won against that chick, and she won against that chick.
She won against that chick. Oh, she beat Angela Hill also. I mean, she must be pretty decent. So I haven't seen her fight, but Claudia's always in that mix as well. But I would say right there at the top, you have Rose. You know, Rose dropped from being champion. Tatiana Suarez, I mean, I've seen her fight. She's pretty nasty. She's pretty good, but I don't think she gets past Rose. I don't think just in that mix of three, I mean, you could probably see. But Joanna, I think, can step right up and beat Jessica Andrade again. So, next.
Dexter Morgan. Do you know who that is?
No.
Have you ever watched the TV show Dexter?
No. Never seen one episode.
That's his name, Dexter Morgan.
Nice.
It's my favorite show of all time.
Really?
Just, little
That's
cliff note right there.
Yeah. Is he like a serial killer? He's like a doctor who's a serial killer?
He's a blood spot analyst for the police.
Yeah, he's like killing people.
And he kills people. He's
That's
like
awesome.
Batman kinda. But
you know, I haven't seen Sons of Anarchy. I haven't seen one show of Sons of Anarchy, but everyone keeps telling me to watch it.
Me too.
Yeah.
So there's a guy on Sons of Anarchy called Chibs.
Yeah.
And he's
Chibs?
Yeah, and he's got like the big cuts up his face.
Oh really? It's like Joker?
Kinda, but anyway.
Go ahead.
But they call him Chibs, and they call him Chibs because a chib in Scotland is a scar on your face like that. So just a little insight for any
little fun fact there. Little fun fact from Scottish producer Dave, Mr. Glasgow City himself.
Well, a lot of people over the years have said to me, do you watch Sons of Anarchy? And I'm like, no. And they're like, oh, Chibs is from Ireland. That's close to you, right? And I'm like, well, no, actually, Chibs is from Scotland, and here's how you got the name Chibs. And then it's always like diehard Sons of Anarchy fans, and they're always like, oh my God, is that true? Like, why he's called that? So
yeah, you fucking idiots. No, I don't know. That's so funny. Okay, what's the next question?
So Dexter Morgan asks, you've trained with Khabib and fought Tony. Who do you think is the best lightweight?
Oh, for sure, Khabib. But let me be very clear. and I'm gonna make this. I think Tony, his only chances of winning are by cut. The thing is Khabib fights always with a shaved head. When you fight with longer hair, it gives the blood a chance to like get soaked up by your hair, and less of it gets into your face. Khabib, I can tell you now, when I fought Tony, he cut me 3 different spots on my head, in my hair. That shit was pouring down into my face, but not as bad as it would have been had I had a shaved head. Then on top of that, I had that big cut on the right side of my head that he hit me with when he first originally dropped me with the elbow. That though wasn't getting blood in my face. That was dripping down the side of my head, maybe like a little bit off to my eye, but not that much. It was the cuts that were above the cuts that were above, like right in my hairline, like right on my like right above my forehead. Those were the cuts that they kept all the blood coming in my face. And the one thing is Khabib, when he's in your guard and Tony will push on the head and he'll elbow you, like almost like an up and down elbow from the sky, but he does it from the guard and he does it from all angles. And he's really bony. His bone density is there. I'm simply saying, I feel like his only chance is by cut, but he has a really good chance at that, given the fact that Khabib has a shaved head, and once that blood starts coming through, sure, Tony's going to take some shots, but one thing that Tony will be there in the 5th round. That fight for sure, Tony will be there in the 5th round. And Tony's one of those guys. He's too hard. He's way too hard to prepare for, and where guys try to like think that they're gonna stand and like do things with him, where he thinks he's gonna stand and throw punches. No, he's gonna throw elbows. He's got the range and the distance to throw elbows. Now, I think Khabib can control him, take him down, dominate him, do all those things. But in those exchanges, there's going to be elbows thrown from different angles. And he knows that he can cut you. He knows he can do those things from all different angles in a fight. So all of that being said, man, it's the potential is there for Khabib to lose by cut. And I think that's the only way. I don't think Khabib loses by submission. I don't think Khabib loses by knockout. I don't think Khabib loses by any of those things. That's the only way I see Tony beating him. But that is a very likely chance. Like that is very likely because of the way Tony is with his elbows. And not just speaking from me, you look back at some of his other fights when he's fought, he's cutting some dudes up. Almost like reminds me a lot of Kenny Florian. They go out of their way to make sure that they're landing their elbows because they know their elbows do a lot of damage. Next question.
From Ben, he asks, thoughts on potential Zabit versus Ortega matchup?
Zabit Ortega. I don't know. I saw Zabit's last fight and I was very impressed. But then I saw his fight before that. I was not so impressed. And so I don't know. Like he hasn't like wowed me yet. Like sure, I think he's good. I think he's very talented. Yeah, I just don't know. No, wait, never mind. So it was the Kyle Bochniak or whatever, or whatever, that fight, I wasn't really impressed. But I was impressed with the knee bar. Obviously, I think everyone was. We talked about, I think it was on Sports Center or some shit. Anyways, the Jeremy Stevens fight, I was like, he had a good performance, did really well. But I don't know yet. I don't know. I think Brian Ortega is kind of like that next level. But I go back to the confidence. Coming off of the loss, the one you came off of against Max Holloway, you're not the same guy you were when you were winning, And athletes and fans and the fighter himself needs to understand that. Zabit is winning. Doesn't plan on losing. His confidence is all-time high. Now you're fighting a guy who's lost. He lost his chance of the title. And now you're fighting a guy who's coming off of a loss. He got touched up by Max. So if he fights him next, that's a tough fight, man. That's a tough fight. But I would still probably give it to Brian Ortega.
From Sniffer, do you think Francis will ever be a champ, considering he won first rounds against Stipe with ease and didn't train? How do you think the rematch goes?
Francis who? Ngannou?
Yeah.
No.
You don't think he'll be champ?
No. I know. DC's gonna probably beat Stipe, and nothing against Stipe at all. He doesn't have the speed, the athleticism to beat DC. doesn't have the wrestling, doesn't have all those things. So I would give it. DC's going to beat him. Now he's going to probably vacate the title after that, and when he does vacate the title after that, he's going to turn around and and then they may give Ngannou and Stipe. He have Stipe fight again for the title. So it depends on who Ngannou's going to fight after that. So yeah. Never mind, I take that back. Forget everything I said. Because now, if Stipe loses again twice to Derek Lewis, Ngannou now there's going to get somebody else. And whoever he gets, whether it's not Derek, if he gives Derek Lewis and Ngannou, the two of them, I mean, I don't know, And then I would go probably Ngannou over Derek Lewis. And then you have, who else is there? Who else is in that weight class? Who else? The heavyweights. Yeah, heavyweights. Yeah, you got Junior. I think Ngannou beats Junior. I like to see Junior get another shot, man. I like to see that. So you can probably have the two of them fight for the vacant title. Stipe would drop to Curtis Blades. You got Curtis Blades up in that mix now to fight maybe Volkov or Stipe next. And the winner of that fight's probably the winner of Francis and Junior. That'd be a fucking great fight, to be honest. Someone get knocked the fuck out in that fight. That's going to be a great fight. So, yeah. No, I mean, yeah, I guess, yes. To answer your question, yes, I can see him being champion, but not beating DC and not beating Stipe.
Rob200485 says, will the UFC ever not be the number one promotion? How long until another promotion catches up? What promotion ends up on top if it's not the UFC?
Right now, I mean, honestly, right now, and I'm not trying to be biased at all. I'm not, but I think I'm saying Bellator is the one that's the closest. And the reason why I'm saying that, because there's a lot of things that are going to happen within the next year and a half. And obviously I can't tell you guys any of this, but I can tell you there's a lot of good things that are going to happen that is going to set them either equal or if not above whatever the UFC is doing. So all that being said, I have no doubts about it that the Bellator will be in that mix. Now, what you guys have to understand is that not only will they be in that mix, but then they have to do a lot of things to help get them in that mix. So not just having like whatever deals done and sponsors and endorsements and big companies backing them or whatever, that doesn't just put them there. Okay? That helps get them there. But they've only got 250 or 250 fighters on the roster. UFC has 600 plus. That's why they have to have that many fighters to have that many shows that they have. Bellator right now only has like 30 something fights, 33 fights a year, something like that, 32 fights a year. So they've got a long ways to go. But I'm simply saying like Bellator is the closest. Ryzen's not really, like Bellator and Ryzen are kind of working together. And I'm not saying like they're friends, like they are friends, but they're not helping each other promote. Each show's doing their own thing, but they cross promote every once in a while. That's what I'm trying to get. They're not like talking every day going, hey, let me help you pump this up. You help me pump. They're not doing that. What they are doing is like, hey, we should probably try to work together for this show. Let's see if we can do something great. Let's match this guy and this guy. Sounds perfect. Let's do it. Then they go their separate ways. So that being said, I would say Bellator is next in line. One has got a lot of great things that looks like they're coming to fruition. But man, if you guys look at, if you guys had ever seen or looked at like people talk about the like one championships like financials, they're a clusterfuck. Like the organization itself, I think is so fun to watch. But people have talked about their finances and and their business dealings and all those other things. I feel like they have a long way to go. They're doing a lot of good things right now. I'm excited for them. I am. I used to work for them for 2 years, calling fights. Dude, I love Frank Mir. Not Frank Mir, but Rich Franklin. He's out there. Matt Hume's out there. Misha Tate is now out there. We had her on talking about her new experiences out there, being out there for the week, her first week on the job. So if you guys haven't heard that podcast, go over to there and check out Sammy the Punk, and we had her on there. She's like that whole organization, like they've got some good talented people there kind of helping to run it. They've got some good things going on. I just don't think that they're ready to come to the States, they might start trying to spread themselves too thin. I know they went to Japan, I think, and I think they're talking about going to Brazil. They are talking about coming to the States, maybe even potentially going to Vegas. That's that's the UFC area. I want to stay away from that. It's a little, it's one of those things. Like you don't want to wake the bear kind of thing, with the UFC. So you just do your own thing. That's the one thing I've always appreciated and respected about Scott Coker is that He's always just straight up just said to Dana and to every other media outlet, it's like, look, we have our show. They have their show. We're going to do what we do. They're going to do what they do. And there's enough place in this world, on this planet, for two big fight promotions. And that's the way he's always looked at it. And you can't have anything else but respect for that. Next question. What time is it? Okay, so we'll do, it depends. We got till 9 o'clock.
Okay. I just have a follow-up for you real quick, by the way. See, on the glove situation, the red and blue, someone said that red is favorite, blue is underdog.
That's what I said.
No, you never?
Yes.
No, you did
not. No, you said the UFC was that, and I said in Strikeforce it's red. You said UFC is blue.
No, I said red.
No, you didn't.
I even posted a clip on my Instagram.
Whatever.
Guys, go check out my Instagram, Podcast Dave. You'll see that I posted a clip where I proved to Josh that I was right and he was wrong.
No one likes Dave anyways.
But dude, I'm telling you...
Go ahead, tell me what were you saying.
No, that's it. So red is favorite, blue is underdog. It's not like
red is favorite, blue is underdog.
That's what I just said.
No, you didn't say that day though.
No, I know I didn't say it that day, but neither did you.
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't.
I said yes. Red is normally favorite for Strikeforce. You said for UFC, I think it's blue.
No, I didn't.
I think it's blue. No, I said I think the UFC is opposite. I think UFC is blue, and then red is not favorite there.
No, I think it's wrong.
Is it? Okay.
Because, the red's favorite in UFC.
Okay.
For sure.
But then, so Bellator's, I think, the same way.
And then my other question, since I get to jump in on questions in this.
All right.
When it comes to fighter trunks.
You're taking away from the fans. I get it. Go ahead. Go
wow. Ahead. When it comes to fighter trunks, is that just like a preference of style? Or is it like allocated?
So the champion ones? Are you talking about for Bellator?
Like I'm talking about, how somewhere they wear the loose, they wear the shorter, the longer.
It's fighter preference.
Is it fighter preference?
Yeah. Okay. It's however they want it to be cut. Reebok will cut it any way they want.
Oh, okay. That was it. I'm just curious.
The only thing that's not a preference, like you can pick like if you want to wear like the Brazilian colors, the US colors, you want to wear black, you want to wear white. The one thing you can't pick though, unless you're a champion, is they wear black with the gold.
Oh yeah, with the gold
print. Yeah, that's just strictly for champions only.
Okay.
Now back to the fans' questions.
Fuck you.
Go ahead.
From D Shiznit, this one's kind of similar to earlier. When, if ever, do you see cross-promotion fights, multi-promotion, Grand Prix, or something like that? Be pretty bitching.
Yeah, we talked about that already. Next one.
So from Eduardo Flores, why Khabib wanted a money fight over Tony, but no problem fighting Dustin?
Wanted a money fight over Tony.
A hard matchup, but no problem fighting Dustin, a less popular and easier matchup. He hasn't fought Dustin yet, but
he hasn't. He'll fight Dustin though.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know what he means.
I think he's basically trying to say Khabib wanted Conor over Tony because Tony was harder, but now he's happy to take
Here's
Dustin.
The thing. I don't think look, Khabib's the kind of guy. I was like, you put him in front of me, I'll fight him. I think the UFC wanted Conor and Khabib. As much, and then also too, I think Conor said he wanted Khabib, and UFC's like, let's fucking jump on this as fast as we can. So, and like I said before, you're talking about guys that move the needle versus, and no disrespect to Tony, man. It's just the fact is he doesn't move the needle like like Conor does, or he doesn't move the needle like Khabib does. Like, it's crazy. You post, I want all you guys to do this. I want you guys to all post a picture of Khabib and say something negative about him on there and tag him on it. And I'll bet you anything, you'll get about 100 messages, maybe even 200 on just your page talking shit to you. It doesn't matter. I've posted something on one of Khabib's comments talking trash to him. Like, it's friendly, like him and I are, and I'll probably get 30, 40 replies in 10 minutes. People telling me to fuck off. People telling me they'll kick my ass. All these things. You have a couple in there that are like, hey, they train together. They're friends. And then other guys just ripping you apart. Try that out, you guys, and see. Those are things like guys move needles, man. And when you have fan bases that are like that, like Conor's fan base and Khabib's, the UFC had to put that fight together. There was nothing else they could do.
The last question.
And by the way, it worked out. 2.4 million pay-per-view buys. I drastically underestimated that. I was on Brendan Schaub's show telling him, and even Brendan said he didn't think he was going to do over 1.6. I was like, you know what? I can agree with you. I was like 1.6. I said even I think up to 1.8, but there was no way it was breaking 2 million. And it fucking broke 2 million. That put my foot in my mouth, but that's the deal. 2.4. The UFC laughing all the way to the bank.
All right, last one.
Yeah, last one. Last one.
The Wolfman asks, if you could start your career over with all the experience you have now, how would you change your training?
I would do less.
You'd train less?
Yeah, I would train less. Yep. I train like a fucking animal. No, it's true. Like I would get up, I can give you guys an idea. I would train sometimes 4 to 5 times a day. Saturday I would train probably at least once, sometimes 2, every once in a while 3 times on Saturday. Stupid. Dumb. That's why I was hurt so much. That's why a lot of my fights I went in with like hurt knee. Like, I had, when I fought Gil the 3rd time, I tore my PCL the week before. Like I had injuries like throughout my whole career, like all the time, man. And I just overtrained. I was always exhausted. I remember getting ready for Gil the 2nd time. I was so overtrained that I would come into the gym and I would spar with guys that were amateur fighters for my first like 1 or 2 rounds. And I was so overtrained, I was exhausted by the 2nd round. I couldn't even finish 5 rounds of sparring. It was horrible. So I actually went to the doctor. I got blood work done. I went and got a whole blood panel to see if I had cancer, because I was so concerned, because I couldn't do anything. I'd go through the motions and train, but I was like walking around like a zombie. Couldn't sleep at night. I'd go to bed at like 1, 2 in the morning, wake up at like 3 or 4 or 5 in the morning, wake up like wide awake. Then I'd go run, 3 to 5 miles, come home, eat, shower, try to get some sleep, couldn't sleep, and then I would go back to noon training and train at noon, spar with all the fighters or grapple with all the fighters, do wrestling or whatever it was we were doing that day for 2 hours, train hard with all the AKA guys. Then I'd go home, eat, shower, try to get a nap, never really could sleep. And then I'd go do a full like lifting workout with my coach. That was only 4 days. That was only 4 days a week. So I would do that 4 days a week, but like full, like deadlifts, snatches, like kettlebells, pull-ups, pull-up hops, like assault bike, like full 5 rounds, 25 minutes. So full 5 rounds, minute break. I would simulate a fight. I would do that every time with him, like car pushes, sled drags, all that shit. Right. Then I would go, that was it, like 3 or 4 in the afternoon. That was only like a 2-hour gap because we'd end fighter training at 2. I'd do that at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That would take about 25, 30 minutes once I warmed up and everything, another 20, so about 45 minutes total. Then I would go and hit mitts with Javier Mendez for about an hour on the mitts. And then right after that, I'd go do the 30-minute bike workout with the fighters. So I'd do the assault bike workout with the fighters, and then I'd hit the bag in between every round. So we do a minute on, minute off. I'd hit the bag. I'd do wall escapes, mount escapes, all that shit. Fucking 5 days a week, I would do that workout. Stupid. Dumb. Dumbest thing I could have ever done. And then on top of that, when you're that overtrained, you're never really hungry. You never really eat a whole lot. All you're living off of is fucking protein shakes. It just, yeah. I mean, realistically, I feel like I ruined my career doing that. That would be the one thing that I did. Like, I got to the point where up until I fought Gil the first time, I was training only twice a day. Sometimes with a run, I'd train, at fighter training, or I'd go for a run in the morning to get my body woken up, like just a mile and a half. Then I'd train with the fighters from noon to 2. This is before I fought Gil the first time and beat him for the world title. Then I would go at night and hit mitts and do the bike workout with the guys. And that was it. So just like a good 2 trainings a day, and then with like a mile or a mile and a half run in the morning to wake my body up, and plenty of food in between. As soon as I won the world title, add more shit. Do more things. You got to do more. Instead of just sticking with what was working for me, I was like, you got to do more. You do this. Buy this. It was like stupid shit, man.
Was that to do with passion, or was that to do with just you felt like you had to do it in order?
I felt like you were the champion. Now and what it was is you're the champion now. And now it's harder, and everyone kept telling me it's harder to keep the belt than it was to get it. And I was like, all right, well, fuck it. I got to do more. And just more just ruined my career. That's all. That was the biggest thing. I felt like I'd be at I would have been a totally different fighter had it not happen that way. Because what happened was after I won the title, I defended it once at the Playboy Mansion against Ash Bowman. We fought them, finished that, got done with that. Then the next time I got ready for Gil, which was going to be my next fight, I was so overtrained, sparring with Billy Evangelista, and he like just went to jump up on my back, and I was so tired and fatigued from being overtrained. I just fell backwards the week before the fight, broke my ankle, broke my leg, both the bones of my leg, screws, pins, everything in my ankle now. Like all that shit because I was so overtrained that in the third round, he jumped up on my back and I wasn't even strong enough to hold him up anymore because I wasn't fresh. And just fucking folded backwards, got my foot caught up underneath me, and we both fell back on my ankle and my leg broke. Tore some ligaments in my ankle, everything. It was shit, man. And then ever since then, I never really kicked to the body with that leg anymore. Because I have a metal plate in there, so it hurts every time I kick to the body there. So that was like my bread and butter. If you guys go back and watch the fights before that, I always used to kick to the body, knee with the body, all that shit. But I would set up that body kick on that liver side, and I'd stop pretty much doing it because every time I kicked your elbow, your elbow hit my metal plate, and that fucking hurts bad, man. If you know anyone that ever had a metal plate in their arm or in their ankle or their leg, fuck, it's brutal. It hurts every time you just bang it. Fuck, it sucks, man. It sucks so bad.
Does it make a noise if you hit it with something else metal?
No, it just hurts, man. It just hurts like a motherfucker.
I know how you feel. I broke my collarbone in judo one time, and I was on my way to becoming a superstar as well.
No, you weren't. You could barely fucking bend over and touch your feet, motherfucker.
Yeah. I was fucking good in judo.
You were?
Yeah.
They didn't have judo in Scotland?
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
It's a worldwide.
Worldwide. It's worldwide. Okay, well, that's
it.
What is there any good ones in there?
A lot of it's Tony and Pettis and Tony, Cowboy and Pettis and Nate. Yeah, a lot of it.
Okay. We answered a lot of those already.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, hey, thanks for tuning in. We went live. We're gonna continue to try and do this as much as we possibly can. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. So follow us on IG. Also, please like the live video, I think if you can, and then that'll help share it. Please share our stuff. Try to get as many followers as we can. Try to get this ball rolling. We have picked it up a lot, and we are going to continue to do more live shots for you guys and live things for you. I'd like to eventually get our podcast on a full live ordeal instead of just the Q&As for live stuff. But I really enjoy this. Follow us at Sammy the Punk on iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube, and follow me at The Real Punk on Twitter and Instagram. I truly appreciate it. Thank you guys. And Podcast Dave, he's also Podcast Dave on Instagram.
Gay, you think?
It's Podcast Gay. So, all right, guys. Thank you so much. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And we will be doing this again, hopefully here shortly. And we'll try to get this all up on live and everything more often for you guys. Okay, take care.